Welcome to a BTR News podcast with Scotty T. Reed. On this podcast, I want to address the nonsense of voting blue no matter who, as you have House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi pledging to endorse any incumbent Democrat despite their records or ideology. So I came across this story. It is coming out of Texas. There's a number of outlets that's reporting it, but it was actually a event that was held by the Texas Tribune, which is a news outlet in the state of Texas, where Nancy Pelosi, who is the Speaker of the House, says that she is going to support this representative who is pro-NRA, that's the National Rifle Association, and is anti-abortion. Now, before I get started on this, let me just put this out there. I do not support the NRA. It is a racist organization. I don't think that's up for debate, or I'm at least not going to debate anyone about the racist people over there at the NRA. Okay, they don't advocate for black people's gun rights. In fact, when they had an opportunity to support people like the Black Panther Party, and even going further back in history, when you look at Robert F. Williams and the Black Guard, they didn't support black people owning guns and what have you. And then if you recall those racist ads they put out about running over protesters for demonstrating in the streets, which is their First Amendment right, calling out police violence and systemic racism. So while I'm not anti-gun, I do not believe that we should have gun rights, but we should have gun privileges. Just like you have a driver's license to drive a car. That's a privilege. It's not a right of anyone to drive a car. If you go to take a test to drive any kind of vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle, whether it's a tractor trailer rig, whether it is a four-door passenger car, whether it's a SUV, if you can't safely operate that vehicle, if you can't demonstrate that you know the rules of the road, then you don't have a right to a driver's license. You don't have a right to drive on the roads because you're putting other people's lives in danger. I feel the same way about quote unquote gun rights. Okay, so I have some pretty nuanced views. Now on abortion, I came up with this term to describe my views on abortion. I am a pro-life progressive. And when I say pro-life, I'm meaning I'm on the side of life versus the side of death. I would never personally participate in an abortion by giving a woman any money to have an abortion. That's not me. I also don't think that taxpayers should be forced to foot the bill on abortion. I'm actually going to do another video here later covering abortion early, but I just want to, since they touching on abortion on this story, I just want to present my views as a pro-life progressive. Now, do I want to outlaw or overturn Roe v. Wade? No, I don't. Because I do believe that abortion, when people are raped, if they don't want to have that child, if they want to have a child of their rapist, although some women choose to have that child, but if they don't want to have that child, that's completely understandable. Okay, if it's to save the life of the mother. Some pregnancies don't always go right, and the mother's life may be in danger. Let's say it's a 11-year-old child, a 10-year-old child, which I have seen cases of 10-year-olds getting pregnant. Okay, now if it's going to cause them to lose their life or significant health problems by going through with that pregnancy, then I believe that they should be allowed to have that abortion. What I do not support is a woman's right to have an abortion because my husband might kill me if he find out I got pregnant by another man and I had another man's child. So I'm not going to have this baby. I'm going to hide the fact that I'm committing adultery by having an abortion, killing this baby. All right. So I have a nuanced view as a pro-life progressive. I'm not for overturning Roe v. Wade. I think in some instances it is appropriate. Now that brings me to Nancy Pelosi in this story, where she is pledging her support for a representative who is down there in Texas, who is pro-NRA and anti-abortion. Now, I thought the Democratic Party, I thought Nancy Pelosi, was steadfast in their views against the NRA or against defunding abortion and overturning Roe v. Wade. So this is why I'm saying you cannot vote blue no matter who. That's some nonsense out there that people are putting out there as a way to prevent criticism of people in the Democratic Party that's running for president or running for any office. And so this, what you might call a conservative Democrat, is being challenged in a primary. And Nancy Pelosi and apparently the Democratic leadership is saying that they will not risk any more Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Remember, she primaried a very powerful Democrat who had been in Congress for a very long time, and she was able to win the primary and go on to win the general election. So I don't think that people should be voting blue no matter who. I don't even think that you should vote for anyone based on their party affiliation. You should be voting for people who are pushing a platform that lines up with your agenda. It doesn't matter to me. For example, I voted for Ron Paul in 2008. Why did I vote for Ron Paul? Because he was anti-death penalty. He said it was racist. I voted for Ron Paul in 2008 because he was talking about abolishing what's the name of that agency in the drug war, the DEA. He was talking about getting rid of that, saying the drug war is also racist and people shouldn't be put in prison for using drugs. They should get help. It's a sickness and all. He is a doctor and what have you. And so when people was talking about all this stuff about, oh, he had this newsletter that bear this name and this writer for that newspaper was publishing racist stuff in there, which was true. But guess what, though? What was more important to me? Okay, what was more important to me? To actually get the drug war ended, to end the death penalty on a federal level because, as he stated, it was racist, or is it for me to hold something against somebody because of something they said a long time ago? And then in his case, he didn't even say it. Okay. 2012, I voted for in 2012, I voted for Ron Paul. In 2008, I supported the Green Party candidate, Cynthia McKinney, okay, for a number of reasons. I liked her platform. I knew who she was. I know she was a principled person, so that's why I voted for her. Didn't know Barack Obama, didn't know who he was. In 2012, as I stated, I supported Ron Paul. Or it may have been Gary Johnson. I voted for Ron Paul in the Republican primary, that's right. So I'm not sure, I can't recall, so let me not get sidetracked. But anyway, here we have Speaker Pelosi, who's supposed to be pro-choice, supposed to be anti-NRA, supporting a pro-NRA, anti-abortion candidate down there in Texas simply because he's what? An incumbent? No, I don't think so. I think it's about, you have these elitists in the Democratic Party, and it's as well as in the Republican Party, but we're focused on the Democratic Party right now. We have these elitists who have accumulated all this power. Nancy Pelosi is known for raising money for a whole lot of people. In exchange, that's how she got the leadership position she got now, is because she raised money for people. They didn't vote for her because she's a great leader. They voted for her because she raised money for them. So quid pro quo is going on here. And I think that's what's going on down there in Texas. So I'm going to play this 30-second clip where she was asked about this.
Okay, I'm sorry. Will you have a friendly incumbent rule heading into this election cycle so that if any incumbent Democrat in your House is challenged in a primary, that you will default to endorsing the incumbent Democrat?
That's absolutely. That is the easiest question you could ask.
So Henry Cuellar, who's in the audience, Congressman Cuellar from Laredo, who is here and as a challenger in the primary, you are a Henry Cuellar endorser.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very, very proud of Henry's work in the Congress, and I'm proud to support him.
Okay, I'm sorry. Will you have a friendly incumbent?
Okay, so you may have heard a smattering of boos out there in the audience. You know, we got this thing called the so-called resistance among Democrats. And it seems to me the only thing that people like Nancy Pelosi is resisting is actual change. They're resisting the grassroots movement that was started by one Senator Bernard Sanders. And so, you know, this nonsense about voting blue no matter who, no. I mean, only a fool would vote against their own interests. Okay, so again, I gave my nuanced views on the NRA or gun rights and abortion and what have you. But if you are one of those people down there in this man's district, are you going to vote for him simply because Nancy Pelosi said to vote for him and not to support the primary challenger? Okay, because they don't like the way this person has a record of voting, very conservative record and what have you. So, I mean, to me, anybody who pays attention to endorsements, because, you know, everybody's trying to get endorsements, and I was endorsed by this person, I was endorsed by that person, and what have you. If you're basing your vote off of who's endorsing a person, then that tells me you are intellectually lazy, that you are not doing the research to find out this person's record. You have not done the research to see how they have voted. You are not paying attention to the ideology that they spew. You are not paying attention to who's funding them and the power behind them. You are supposed to vote based off of your own research and not because some cult of personality told you who to vote for. So this is why I don't have a problem telling people I voted for Jill Stein in 2016. Yeah, y'all can go and say, oh, I fell for some Russian propaganda and all that BS. Listen, I've been reporting on Hillary Clinton's record, her husband, Joe Biden, and the Democrats and the Republicans that gave us the crime bill that created mass incarceration, which is a continuation of slavery. Then, to top that off, and for you Warren supporters, yes, Warren admitted that the DNC rigged the primary against Bernie Sanders. I'm not voting for that. I am not endorsing a rigged primary. Donald Trump didn't scare me that much, okay? That I'm just going to vote blue no matter who, that I'm going to vote for a woman I have spent, 10 years pointing out that she's an enemy of the black community, and then just because she's running against a more blatant racist, I'm going to give her my vote? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm always going to vote my conscience. Okay, I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent voter. I vote based off of my interests for my community, and I'm basing my votes off of who is going to do the most to produce justice, a more just society where people who need the most help get that help. So y'all can play those games and vote blue no matter who and what have you. You can't count on people like myself, people with their own minds, people who do critical thinking, and people who have principle, who stand on principle. I don't know what Nancy Pelosi's principles are. That she is supporting a candidate that is counter to the things that she says she represents, or the ideals she represents. So I tell you, man, there's a lot of corruption in Washington, D.C., and it ain't all on one side or the other. There's a lot of corruption. in Washington, D.C. So y'all can vote blue no matter who. I'm telling you right now, if y'all nominate Joe Biden, which it seems you just had some Wall Street Wall Street Democratic donors say, hey, if y'all support these progressive candidates, if y'all nominate a progressive candidate, we gonna support Trump, okay? So the real revolution is right now in the Democratic primary. And for those that listen to one of our network programs, Time for Awakening, I have stated on that program, in fact, they were just mentioning it the last program, I have stated several times that some of these black representatives like John Lewis need to be primary. We need some young folks in there. We need some new blood in there. And they don't necessarily have to be young in years, but we certainly need some new people who are principled, who's not going to take money from private prisons as some of these black Democrats have taken, while at the same time telling you they against private prisons. So I'm just telling y'all, vote your conscience. Don't fall for the tricks. Don't fall for the dirty politicking. Because these people, like Nancy Pelosi, hey, she ain't married to, it is not beneath her to support someone who is counter to the things she supposedly stands for on those two issues. Again, I believe there's some quid pro quo going on here. Somebody can do the research, see if she raised money for this cat, see if this guy voted for her for House leadership. There's quid pro quo going on all the time in politics. It's a dirty game, all right? So if you really want change in this country, then you need to vote for candidates that you can trust to bring about that change and not in increments, all right? So this has been Scotty Reed with a Black Talk Radio news commentary. You can tune in for live digital radio programming and pre-recorded podcasts distributed by blacktalkradionetwork.com. The platform is supported in part by your tax-deductible donations to the nonprofit new media organization, Black Talk Media Project. The Black Talk Radio Network, in case you didn't know, was ranked #1 in Black Digital Radio and Audio Podcasts by the Digital Media Curator FeedSpot in 2019. You can also support us by joining our ad-free, data mining free social media network, BTRcommunity.com. Peace and blessings to all.